What's up guys, Kashilembo here. In this video we are going to be talking about the reason why you should consider getting the Pocket 6K and some of the things that I do like about this camera, starting from a super 35mm image sensor, EF mount, great dynamic range, great low light performance, Blackmagic Raw or ProRes recording. You have two different flavors to pick from depending on what is best for you. You have a beautiful skin tone and gorgeous color reproduction. You do have that 60 frames a second. You slow motion people out there, Blackmagic got you. You also have the 6K, which you can't really go wrong, especially when you have to keep a copy of Resolve, which is now up to Resolve 17 with tons of new feature. All you need with this camera is a good DP and a very good colorist, and if you can do both, that is good for you. That means you can do some good things with this camera. If you're new to my channel or get value from this video, please consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell icon so you don't miss when I post a video like this. Blackmagic Pocket 6K. The camera that has more resolution than the red Gemini with the same dual native ISO concept that costs way less. In fact, there's nothing on the market right now that offers the same functionality as the Blackmagic Pocket 6K with the same price range. And it's good to see a small camera with such great functionality that punches way above its weight. After using the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, I was blown away by this camera's performance, and one of the things that stood out the most was the image quality. It was very impressive. It feels more ARRI-like and gives you this unique cinematic looking image with gorgeous color reproductions. The Pocket 6K gives you more recording option, whether you want to shoot externally to an SSD drive, SD card, or using the CFast 2.0. All these options make the camera very versatile, and that was very important to me as a filmmaker. I want a brand to give me options because it's kind of annoying when they force you to have this single recording format. But the Blackmagic Pocket 6K makes it easy for you to pick what is best for you based on your project or sometime budget. As for me, I do prefer to use the CFast as they are very reliable but can be quite expensive. And one of the main reasons why I went with the CFast is that I don't really like risking having cable dangling out of the camera on set. They are easy to get damaged, and when I was doing a research for this video, I've seen so many other filmmakers who's already damaged their USB Type-C ports and they have to send it back to Blackmagic, and I believe they pay between $500 to $600 to get it fixed. But I have to mention, I do have both the SSD and the CFast, and I mainly use the SSD when I'm DP or when I'm operating myself, because trust me, no one will take care of your camera like you do yourself. The Pocket 6K allows you to toggle between two different modes to get different flavors. You can choose between Blackmagic Raw or ProRes recording. That is something that I do very often depending on a project. Sometimes I get projects that call for a high dynamic range and ton of flexibility in post, and sometimes you just have that simple Instagram video or Facebook that doesn't really require so much flexibility in post, and then you can shoot ProRes or Raw. The best thing about Blackmagic Raw, it gives you different compression options. You can go from constant bitrate, and that is 3:1, 5:1, 8:1, and 12:1. Most of the time I do shoot between 3:1 and 5:1, but you can pick what is best for you depending on what media that you are recording into. You can also do constant quality, and that is Q0 and Q5. In regard to resolution, on screen you can see all the resolution that this camera does in Blackmagic Raw, and below you can see all the resolution that this camera does in ProRes. As you can see, this is a great option for shooting in variable resolution and frame rate, as it lets you focus on being creative and give you the freedom to capture and tell your story in the most convenient way without any camera limitation. There are also other massive benefits with the 6K resolution sensor. You get better result when downsampling to 4K or HD. With 6K, obviously you get way less noise. If you're shooting VFX and have to do a lot of rotoscoping or want to pull frame from your video, having a 6K resolution sensor can be really helpful. With the Pocket 6K, you also get that traditional Super 35 field of view. That was the reason why I picked up the 6K over the 4K. I also love shooting 6K, taking advantage of the 12-bit 422 color space. But one of the things that I would really be happy to see in the next firmware updates, Blackmagic, if this is possible, why not, is the ability to shoot 4K in RAW and 6K in ProRes. Apart from the Super 35 and the 6K being a huge selling point of this camera, the dual native ISO at 400 and 3200, something that make this camera one of the kind. Having a camera that can operate at 2 different sensitivity levels is very helpful. You have a sensor that is working with optimum performance, meaning whether you choose high or low ISO, the Pocket 6K sensor still preserves full color information with the best dynamic range. And this is very different from bumping up your ISO with the camera that doesn't have the dual native ISO concept. I know there's so much to learn about the dual native ISO, but that's another video for next time. One of the things that I also like about the Pocket 6K is the design. An almost DSLR look-alike with tons of new features. It's great for Blackmagic to introduce a cinema camera in different form factor. A very unique shape and design, something that isn't too big or heavy like a traditional cinema camera that we're used to. On the left, you get a microphone input, 3.5 stereo output, full-size HDMI connector for high dynamic range monitoring with 10-bit outputs, locking DC power, USB extension port, mini XLR audio connector with 48 volt for attaching professional microphone. On the right hand side, you have this nice rubber, and close to it is where you can open and locate the SD and CFast slots. As mentioned before, the design being part of the things that I like about the Pocket 6K. It's small and conspicuous and easy to stay anonymous. And this camera does not create attention at all. If you show off the red, you know as soon as you pull that camera out, it's very big and people will be like, where are you shooting with the red? There has been a time when we were shooting and we wanted to get a shot inside the London Eye. I'm telling you, as soon as we got there, the security came down and said, guys, you cannot get in because we had this big cinema camera. But if we had the Pocket 6K, that would have been easy because first, you're allowed to go in with consumer camera, and the Pocket 6K can blend in as a consumer camera but still give you the best functionality as a cinema camera. Well, it's a cinema camera. If this is your first time using the Pocket 6K, you feel at home with their menu system. It's simple, intuitive, and very responsive. All the control you need to adjust any setting are right at your fingertips. On the main screen, you can view and control things such as zebra, picking, frame guide. You have highlight feature that lets you see what you're selecting. You also get to see any other recording information that is important for you to control your exposure. To me, the whole operating system felt Apple-like, very clean and sleek. The camera gives you the ability to load in custom light, which you can use for monitoring purposes. That is very useful, especially when you're working with a client who doesn't really understand flat profile. So being able to help them visualize the color palette in real time without baking the look into the footage, that is very good, and that's another benefit. Battery life. I don't really know where to start with battery life, but when I was doing some research about this video, I came across so many filmmakers who complain about the battery life, and that got me thinking. Guys, listen, you know how we always ask for company to make cameras that are best for us with tons of new features? To be honest, most manufacturers, they focus on profits than they focus on people. But you have the Blackmagic who's already doing their best to give us everything. And this camera is almost perfect for me. I mean almost perfect because I still want the internal ND in the next Pocket 8K or Pocket 12K, whatever Blackmagic is going to call it. But I'm happy with the battery, and I use the V mount because at the end of the day, the camera is doing as much as it can to give me the best options, so I don't really complain. Plus, an LPE6 gave me 40 minutes, and that's enough for what I need, because this camera is built for cinema application. If you want fast autofocus on something that's gonna last 2 hours battery life, you know where to go. Now that we've seen so many amazing things that this camera can do, let's talk about the downside of the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. The first thing that comes to mind is the little plasticky thing that are on the side. Those things are very annoying, and 99% of the time they get on your way when you want to do something, and most filmmakers who buy this camera, they remove them straight away. But I would recommend you to learn how to work around them, because you might want to sell this camera later and the person who wants to buy it would request those things to be on your camera. I know there's so many people that complain about the battery life. Again, this camera is made for cinema application, so there's so many other ways of powering this camera, so I would not complain with that. And another thing that I need to tell you or teach you is to understand that this is a data collection device. This camera can be as good as your skills. This camera can perform better. That's if you want to put more in your creativity. And for me, as I always say, the camera is just like a cooker. I am the chef and I know what to do to get the best out of my Blackmagic Pocket 6K. So something that I want you to know, that this camera can blend in with other Hollywood production camera and you will not see the difference. I'm going to give you an example. If you've seen Star Trek Discovery, some of the scenes in that film were shot with the Pocket 4K, and obviously when you watch that you would never know, because why? Those people, they apply more skills and lighting and all those creativity stuff, and then the camera just help them to capture an image that they are happy with. So do not be that filmmaker who complain about gear. Be the filmmaker that brings good idea and get the most out of your camera. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you learned something in this video, please consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell icon so you will not miss when I post a video like this.